Beetlejuice.
What?
Beetlejuice.
What?
Beetlejuice.
Huh?
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop N Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Yes.
We have returned for our 80th explosion.
Yes.
Yeah, we have.
Hey, everybody, I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Guardians of Geek. And it's been a while. I don't even know how to open the show anymore. It's been so long.
I don't know. It took us about an hour to figure out how to hit record on the old machinery, because we like, how do we do this thing again? I don't know.
We literally almost forgot to hit record.
Yeah.
Like usually I hit it right away so we don't forget, and I just edit around it. But no.
Yeah. No. We'll get back there. Don't you worry.
Well, here we are again. Yeah, this is our 80th show. This is season 7.
Yep.
As you can see behind us, we have a new logo.
Yep. We've been pretty consistent with updating our logo for every season, mostly because we like to make new t-shirts. It's really just
pretty much. Yeah, that's
something fun on a t-shirt.
that only really we see, but hey.
But it's nice to have. So
yeah, you gotta have them. You gotta have them.
Season, yeah.
So we were just talking just quickly about how we're getting close to our 100th show. And when I say close, I mean 20 episodes away. But we're like, we should try to make it for the 100th. And then we start doing the math. I'm like, I don't know if we will.
We're gonna try. We decided if we make each episode like 6.5 minutes long, then we could probably fit 20 in this season. I feel like that's pretty achievable if we just limit it to like maybe 3.5 minutes per episode.
Yeah, there you go. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
Well, let's we usually do. We talked a bit. Let's go to Top Pop.
All right.
Hey kids, it's time for Loop and Larry's Totally Tubular Top Pop!
All right, that was an awkward transition to Top Pop. It's been a while. We just don't have the flow, The flow is just not quite here yet. We're getting there.
Exactly. It's not like we haven't done this for 6 seasons now.
No, well, we're getting there.
It's all brand new to us every single time anyway.
So Top Pop's where we just talk about something we're excited about, or something that's happened to us, but in the geek realm, something that's going on. And we don't want to talk about too much because we're actually doing 2 movies today. So in this episode, so we let's talk about something we both did, which was FAN EXPO Canada.
Yes. This is always sort of the highlight of our year. This is the big Comic-Con and Canadian Comic-Con. It's almost on par with San Diego Comic-Con as far as size goes. It draws about 130,000 people a year. It's pretty good. The thing that it doesn't have that San Diego has is all the big announcements.
Right.
But this year they actually sort of kind of got a little bit more into that. For example, out of the blue, Catherine Hahn showed up with the cast of Agatha All Along. She wasn't on the schedule, and then there she was, and they did a big panel in the massive room, 2,000 people in the room, about Agatha All Along, which was super cool. So that's the sort of stuff that they haven't done a lot of in the past, just like announcements sort of panels. So that was really cool, and I'm pretty stoked about that. And as of the date of this recording, which is September 18th, Agatha All Along premieres. but it hasn't premiered yet as of the time that we're recording this, so we have
Right.
not seen it yet. But by our next episode, we will have seen at least the first 2 episodes, because they're dropping the first 2. But I'm pretty stoked about that. So,
Yeah.
and they also had a walkthrough for Agatha all along, like a display where you walk through and it felt like you're walking down the Witches Road, and they had costumes, like actual screen worn costumes.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is the first year I think that Fan Expo for in a while, anyways, has been more proactive with stuff that's coming out as
Yes.
opposed to reactive of things that are maybe already out. Like, and you might have someone there from something, but it's already like the show's almost done or whatever. But this is the first year where they've kind of were promoting with actual stars like things. So hopefully we'll see more of that into the future as we go. But
I hope so. So real quick, let's go over who did you meet, and who did you want to meet and didn't meet.
So I met Rosario Dawson,
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren,
Right.
John Rhys Davies,
Yep.
and Danny Trejo were the
That's
4 that
right.
I missed, and voice actress Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah, that was a good lineup. You hit the stars, all the good ones.
Yeah.
So I was pretty impressed. I managed to meet John Rhys Davies, who is Gimli and Sala from Indiana Jones. Bryce Dallas Howard. She
yeah.
was right at the top of my bucket list. I'm a big fan of hers, and I have been for a long time. So I was pretty excited to get a photo op with her and sit on her panel, and but the big one for me this year was meeting Mike Flanagan. I'm a huge fan of the Flaniverse. Say that 3 times fast. I'm a huge fan of the Flaniverse.
You're like a
But
Flanagan, is really what you are.
Yes, I mean, in case you don't know who he is, he's the one who directed The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, The Fall of the House of Usher. Those are the TV shows, and then Midnight Club and Midnight Mass, and then did Doctor Sleep, the movie. All of the just everything, like all the really good horror recently has come from the mind of Mike Flanagan. So it was so exciting for me to actually meet him, and I talked to him for probably a minute. But that was good. I was quite happy.
It was a good minute that you got to talk to him. And he just didn't he just win an award at TIFF for his
Yeah, his brand new movie coming out is called Life of Chuck, which is based on a Stephen King short story, which he said in his panel is not scary. So it is not a horror movie, but it does have some supernatural elements in it. If you don't know the story, we won't talk about it, but that's coming out. And then so it premiered at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, and it won the Audience Award. So that bodes well. His streak continues.
Yeah, so he's so good. Yeah, the panel was really interesting with him. It kind of, for me, for my taste, it was a little too much, and it didn't really focus on
Haunting a Hill House.
Yeah, Haunting a Hill House, which was fine, except I hadn't watched it in so long I couldn't remember half the stuff they were talking about, because I'm like, because I mixed them all up, because there's like 3 haunted house movies or whatever or shows, so I was kind of getting a little confused during it, but I figured it out. But they did talk about his other projects, which were really cool. So
so that's I mean, and that's why we love Fan Expo, is because you get the opportunity to sit right up close. Like we were in the front row for that one, for the Mike Flanagan, who was there with his wife Kate Siegel, who's in a lot of his projects. So the 2 of them were on stage together. So we were right front row with that. And it's just so cool to be able to see these people up close and hear their stories. And yeah, it's just exhausting.
I love a good backstage story. Like I love how they made it. Like that's why I miss like commentaries on DVDs and stuff. Like occasionally I will pop one in, especially an older movie, just to see how it was made, and I find that really interesting. But that's almost dead now. I don't know if they still do them or not. I haven't really looked at like more of the later ones that I've bought. But
no, and in fact, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that Mike Flanagan said that he has a podcast where he does essentially director's commentaries for his movies and other movies because he loves them so much. I'm pretty sure it was Mike Flanagan who said that. Because he said the same thing. You don't get them. You don't get them on physical media anymore, and he misses that. So he created a podcast where he could do director's commentary. So you could potentially watch a movie and play his podcast at the same time, and you'll get that. So it's like live director's commentaries when we meet these people.
Yeah. So, but other than that, everything else flowed well in it. I mean, there's a few. It always seems to be oversold every year, but it didn't seem that bad this year. Like I've seen it worse than it was.
Yeah. Well, and I think that they adjusted the layout, the floor layout a little bit
Yeah.
here. So the actual traffic flow through the floor was much better. There was no, I mean, Saturdays is always the big day
Worst. Yeah.
for any Comic-Con. And it was pretty packed. But it wasn't overwhelming. Like we've been to Fan Expo in the past where you're waiting in line to get your photo op in the photo op area, and it was so packed that it felt dangerous. Like I
Yeah.
remember you and I talking about, like, if there happened to have been a fire, we would not have gotten out. Like
Yeah, there's no way you wouldn't have
actual
gotten it. Yeah.
stampede. No, it would have been so they didn't, somehow they managed to avoid that. So there were no crowds like that. Like I never once felt scared for my life, which you
Yeah.
really shouldn't when you're going to a Comic-Con.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, you want to do the pop capacitor? I know you're just waiting to do this.
I know, I'm so excited. Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, here it is, the pop capacitor. We look back at like a movie, a TV show, a game, a toy. We've
Maybe
done
a
toys in the
toy?
past. Could be a toy. And because Beetlejuice is on everybody's mind, we're going to do Beetlejuice and the sequel, Beetlejuice. So we'll do
Yes.
them back to back. I'm sure that's where the inflection goes on the second Beetlejuice.
It does. Yeah, it's just to
Beetlejuice,
emphasize the first one.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's right. That's how they've been saying it in all the press tours.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So what we're gonna do is we'll start with Beetlejuice, the first one, and then we'll move to the second one. I'll bring my hits and misses for the first one. You'll bring your hits and misses for the second one, and then
Yes.
we'll just add to them as we go.
Perfect.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
I think we got it all
Let's-
figured out.
Let's launch it.
All right, here we go. So first we're going to do Beetlejuice. It came out in 1988, directed by Tim Burton. Of course, Michael Keaton, Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin, Winona Ryder, Kathleen O'Hara made up most of the cast. And I'm just going to read the synopsis in case someone's never, ever seen Beetlejuice in their life. Adam and Barbara are a normal couple who happen to be dead. They were given their precious time to decorate their house and make it their own, but unfortunately a family's moving in, and not quietly. So there they go. They call upon Beetlejuice to help get rid of this family. So
Pretty basic story.
basic story, some ghosts who want the
Yep.
people that are living in the house out of the house. So
That's it. Simple, easy to follow. Good story. Yep.
So it had a $15 million budget at the time. This is 1988. Made about 74 million. So it was a massive hit. Like it was a huge hit. And they haven't touched it. It's one of the few movies that to me that was like a big hit, a great movie, and no one's touched it for a sequel. Like in all these years, what's it, 40 years? What is that?
30
Not
years,
quite
something like
30
that.
years. Yeah.
30 years. Yeah.
So like it hasn't been touched, and which surprises me, to be honest, like, because there's a lot of elements in this movie that could be made into a sequel, like
Yeah.
just based on the visuals and things like that. So
35 years. Sorry, I just did the math.
no, thank you. And because 84 that's 40 years ago. 84.
84. Sorry, was it 84 or 88?
This was 88.
Oh, okay, all right. And
But I was just saying, because I know everything 84 that was in 84 is 40
Oh,
years
right.
old this year. That's why I'm like,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay.
yeah. So that's like, then we'll just
So
add
30, yeah,
4 and
30,
subtract 3.
36
Okay.
36 years. Yeah. It's old. It's old. And apparently so are we. Okay.
All right, so here's some of my hits and misses for this. And I'll start by saying that this movie is, to me, like almost a perfect movie in how it's put together. So
Yeah.
one of my hits right off the top is the music in this. Like you cannot beat a Danny Elfman soundtrack. Like you could put it over like one of the crappiest movies, like Freddy Got Fingered, and it would be suddenly way more magical than it should be. You know what I mean? Like there's just something about Danny Elfman that's like just I don't know what it is about his music, but it just draws you in. It's like a character in itself.
Okay, first of all, I just need to say somehow we've made it just over 6 seasons without ever mentioning Freddy Got Fingered. And now it's out there. Now it's part of our podcast. Thanks for doing that.
I'm just trying to think of a movie that was like not great.
Yeah, no, that that would
That was
qualify.
okay. It was okay. It was
Oh,
like
it's fine. Okay, we'll move on from there. Okay, go. But
okay.
yes, I agree. Danny Elfman, king of the scores, film scores. I love his music, and
Yeah, same here.
I love him and Tim Burton paired
Yeah.
together. Like that's just
Magic.
it is magic,
It's
100%.
magic in a bottle. Like you can't. No one. There's very few people like other than like maybe a Spielberg and John Williams or
Yes,
Lucas and John Williams or somebody. But it's like other than that, like it's hard to
hard to
find a
top that.
better combination
Yeah,
that complement each other as much as those two do.
100%.
The other thing I love in this movie, and it's just, and again, this is just a Tim Burton thing. I'm going to throw all this into the same mix, but there's something with Tim Burton and like he's like a true visionary and a true artist when it comes to movie making.
Yep.
And you like from the house behind me to everything else, everything's got a purpose and everything has a certain look. And like at the beginning, you kind of like they go through the model of the town, but even just you don't really see a lot of the other town other than like the model and stuff, but you still feel like you know it all, even though you don't. And the town and his set pieces become like a character as well in his movies. Like everything, I love how everything has a purpose in a Tim Burton movie.
Yep, I agree. It's true. And if you watch his movies, like if you are a student of Tim Burton films, you'll see a lot of repeating set pieces. He uses a lot of angled attic roofs. So he did it in Sweeney Todd. The attic there had an angled roof. And also I think Corpse Bride. It was in there. He like a lot of directors use the same actors in their movies. He uses a lot of the same set pieces, which is really cool because it's sort of his signature. So
Yeah.
yes, I totally agree.
And just as far as like just classic, if Tim Burton like moments in this, like the whole Calypso dance around the table is like
Yep.
a classic. Like you're not gonna get that out of your head, and it's just one of those like scenes in a movie. I'd almost place that in like a top 10, like of a memorable scene from a movie. Like it's just so well done. I'm just flying through these hits here,
Yeah.
because everybody's seen it, but I just want to like it's just so good. The other thing is it's for this story, I think the storyline's really clever. The fact that the ghosts are trying to get rid of the people that are moving into the house, they're all kind of obnoxious, but one girl can see them. And the daughter can see them. And I love this whole storyline. And then them getting Beetlejuice into the story and him basically screwing everything up for everybody as
Yes.
Beetlejuice will do. Like he's just like they just didn't know what to expect from him. He's like a loose cannon in this whole ghost situation. But this whole thing wrapped up in like an hour 30. This whole movie, which again, there's the story to be told, nice and condensed, and it's brilliant.
Yep, I totally agree. And the thing that I loved about the original Beetlejuice is that the characters were so endearing. Like they're the oh no, I can't remember the name. The Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. I can't remember their characters' names off the top of my head. But
Adam and Barbara.
Adam and Barbara, that's right. They were lovable. They were
Yeah.
ghosts. They were ghosts who were trying to scare real, but they were just lovely people. Like you wanted them to win. You wanted them to get the living people out of there because the living people were just obnoxious and terrible. But and same with Lydia Dietz, the young daughter. She was, she was like a tormented young teenage girl, but she had a heart. I mean, so you cared about these people and you really wanted to see them succeed. So by the end of the movie, when what are the names again?
Adam and Barbara.
Adam and Barbara are like almost like I don't know what the word for it is, when they were almost killed to death.
Yeah. Like
you actually felt for them. Like you didn't, you were like, no, we don't want these people to die. Like they're already dead, but you don't want them to suffer anymore. Like you really connected with these characters, even though they're so weird. Like how many movies that, have like feature a ghost couple do you root for the ghosts? Like that's just, except for Casper maybe, but
maybe Casper. Well, actually he's pretty punchable. So
but yeah, that was something I is a big part of that, the success of that movie is that those people are so relatable. Like they're just cool people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like for other hits, I mean, a lot of it has to do with Burton. It's just the way he directed that movie and just the look of it. And like he was hot at the time. Like he was like everything he did was like gold at that in that moment. So it's just such a memorable movie, such a great movie. And I hadn't watched it in a while, so it'd been probably a good 15 years since I'd watched it. Like it'd been a
Really?
while.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe 10 to 15. Well, 15 years as it goes by pretty quick. So it's like and then when I watched it, I was still like it was long enough that you almost forgot what happens in it. And in fact, I even walked into it. I forgot that like the Barbara and Adam part were even in it. Like I forgot about
Oh,
that
really?
because you the things that you stick in your memory is that whole Calypso scene and those type
Yep.
of things. So
Yes.
you kind of remember all the back half of the movie, not as much the
Yeah.
front half of it. So
Yep.
that's one of those things I thought was like just so good. Just like
Yeah.
and even when I'm watching, I was right into it. I was rooting for them because a lot of old movies have a disconnect, but for some reason this movie does not. Like
No.
it's
It
just it
it
doesn't
yeah,
seem
it's still
dated.
it's
It doesn't
still
seem anything.
no, it still holds up. Like those characters are still relatable. They're still fun, and they're like even the nasty ones, even the Delia Deets and
Yeah,
Charles, they're still fun to watch. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Catherine O'Hara is pretty fun to watch in just about anything she does.
Yeah,
But
pretty much.
yeah, yeah. All right, what else do you have? Do you have any hit? Do you have any misses?
I do have a couple misses, and these are very
Okay.
small, and they don't ruin the movie for me. But
All right.
when people die in these movies, they tend
Yeah.
to end. They tend to be in the afterlife exactly as they were left.
Yes.
Right. So, but for whatever reason, like Adam and Barbara aren't wet for the whole movie. Because remember, they come back and they're wet, but should they
Yeah.
not be wet all the time? Should they not always be soaked? Because
I forgot about that.
that's how they died.
Yes, you're absolutely. You know what? I've never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Because when they go into the afterlife, they're sitting in the chairs with everybody else who's died, and everybody who's died has got like shark bites or their head is
Yeah.
shrunk. They look exactly the same way they did. You're right. They should totally have been soaking wet.
And I
all
mean,
the
you
time.
could kind of say, well, they're not really in the afterlife quite yet because they're stuck as ghosts and so, and they can change clothes, I guess, I think. But but again, they should when they get to they should be exactly as they died, which was wet,
Yes.
that's how they show up at the house.
Yeah.
But then it's gone and they're dry and whatnot. I
Interesting.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
36 years later, I never paid attention to that. So
I just noticed
right.
it just because the way people were sitting in that waiting room.
Yes.
Other than that, like Beetlejuice is a little problematic.
Okay.
I mean, and it's a part of the time, I guess. Like he was a little bit of I don't want to call him a womanizer, but he was
Yeah.
like a little bit of a pervert, I guess. It's like,
Well, the fact that he wants to marry how old was she? 15?
yeah. And then
something
there's just
like that?
shots of him like looking up dresses and like it's
Yeah.
just things that wouldn't fly, I think now. And so I mean, they're still kind of funny in the movie, but it's like it's funny that people would watch it now and you probably don't think of those things, but it's fairly problematic at the time.
Little cringy now.
A little cringy now, yeah. But other than that, like to me, it's almost a perfect movie. Like it's it's enjoyable. It's like an hour 30, and it's like there's nothing like and again, it doesn't feel dated when you watch it. It feels like kind of this like magical world that he's created. So it doesn't have that dated feel that some movies would from that era. So
Yeah, I totally agree. You and
thumbs
we
up.
talked about I should do like a hits and misses for that one as well. And I thought I don't have any misses. Like I don't think I could come up with any misses for that. It's so rare to have a movie like this where I mean I'm surprised that you found any.
Yeah,
Like
and they're just nitpicking
yeah, the one thing you
things.
found made total sense. Like that makes total sense. The
One of its time and one of its like was just like I think a little bit of an error. But then do you want them wet the whole movie? Like I get, you know what I mean? Like that seems weird. So
exactly like that. I understand why they didn't do that, but you're right. They should have because everybody else did. But other than that, I was thinking about it. I thought I cannot come up with misses. Like usually in movies I can come up with at least 4 or 5 things that I would have changed or didn't like, but this particular movie, I don't know, it checks all the boxes.
yeah, Michael Keaton kills it in it, and he's like it's such a weird character too, really,
Yes.
when you break down the character of Beetlejuice, like just like hideous looking and like, but again, charming at the same time. And I don't know. And it was like, it was a big swing for Michael Keaton probably to do at the time. And he nailed it. So.
He totally did. And I think that's part of what makes that movie so fun too, is that it is so quirky. Like we hadn't seen a character like Beetlejuice, or like that wedding scene at the end where Beetlejuice is going to be marrying Lydia, like, and the minister, like weird demon minister, comes out of the fireplace and he's this weird creepy looking demented thing. Like all of it is just so strange. Like it's just so bizarre, and it's just awesome. Also, a fun fact, Beetlejuice, if you didn't know this, was the very first appearance of Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
this movie came out before Nightmare Before Christmas, and that was, if you look carefully in that wedding scene, there's like a carousel that rises up. Jack Skellington is on the very top of that carousel.
Oh, that's cool. That's
wearing
fun.
wearing his bat bow tie. So that was the very first appearance of Jack Skellington. It's just a fun fact.
That's good, pretty cool. And just to go back to the problematic part again about Beetlejuice, they did make a cartoon of this. So just throwing that out there as well.
Yes, yes they did. Which I mean, did you watch it?
I never watched the cartoon. I think I saw a few episodes here and there. But
I actually enjoyed it. Like it was pretty much in keeping with the movie. Like it was, obviously they could do a lot more with animation, but so it was weirder, but I really liked it. I thought it was essentially Lydia Dietz sort of partnering up with Beetlejuice and doing things in the afterlife, like in his world. And so it was really, really weird, but it was actually a pretty good animation. It followed pretty well, but no, it's near perfect for me too.
It's definitely, it's a classic. I would put it in the classic category for sure.
So then they decided 30 plus years later.
Oh no, here we go. I could tell by your face, even when I'm talking this whole podcast, that you're waiting to jump on this second one. Okay, go on. Look at your face. Like you're all like,
Loop and I have not talked about, we've both seen it, Beetlejuice, but we have not talked about it. We literally have not disclosed our feelings about this movie at all, and I've been waiting until this podcast to talk about it. So because this is such an iconic movie and it's one of my all-time favorites, I was so stoked. I was so excited for this sequel to come out. So I was like, my expectations were sky high. I mean, it's Tim Burton, who's one of my all-time favorite directors. Almost all of the original cast came back. I was like, this is going to be so good, and the trailers looked great, and I was so excited. And then I went to see it.
Oh no, here we go.
Okay, so let me start with the hits. I'll start with the good stuff. Okay. So I did like the familiarity of it. So like the Winter River, the town was back, and I actually liked that we got to see more of it. Like the opening scene flies down the streets of Winter River, so you see more of the town. So it is more of a real place.
Yeah.
Because in the first movie, you really just see the model. So I liked those sorts of things. Another hit, I liked that they cast Jenna Ortega. I thought she was a good fit.
Yeah, she was really good.
I mean, coming off of Wednesday, it just made sense. Like this is sort of right in her wheelhouse. I thought that was good casting for her to be Lydia Dietz's daughter. Like that, that seemed right to me. So I thought that was good. Jeffrey Jones, who played Charles, Delia's husband, is still alive, but he was not in this movie because he's had some legal issues of a unsavory sort of,
that's
and so they just didn't want to put him back in, so they had to write him out. Write the actual actor out, but they didn't write the character out. And let me just start by saying we're going to spoil this movie if you've not seen it yet.
It's totally being spoiled.
Yeah, we're going to spoil it. So I thought it was clever the way that they had him die by being cut in half, like half eaten by a shark. So you didn't need to see his face.
Yeah.
And his
Can I
voice,
just say something for a second?
Yeah.
I'm just going to read this in case you've never seen it, or just to remind you of what it was about.
Okay.
After a family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River, still haunted by Beetlejuice. Lydia's life is turned upside down when her teenage daughter Astrid accidentally opens a portal to the afterlife. So
Right.
that's the basic plot of this. They all come home, and a lot of them don't talk a lot, and they boom. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it's about. So yeah. So anyway, so Jeffrey Jones's character Charles is in the movie, but not played by Jeffrey Jones. So I thought it was a clever way of doing it so that he could still be in it without seeing his face. I thought
Yeah.
that was good. And then there were a couple of scenes that I thought were really good. Okay, so those are my hits.
Here we go.
Let me
So that was all your hits
Yeah, pretty much.
in that whole movie. That was it.
Pretty much. Well, I there was a scene at the end that I liked, that I did like. It was the wedding scene, because there was another wedding scene, and I thought it was really cool the way they played MacArthur Park. It was the song that they played was MacArthur Park, and it was just really well choreographed, and it looked cool. I thought that whole scene was pretty awesome. I actually really thought that was good.
Okay, well, there's another one then. Okay,
Yeah.
any more that maybe you're hiding?
That now ends my list of hits.
Okay, here we go.
So let me preface this by also saying that I saw the movie twice in the theater, because I thought, okay, maybe the first time I was expecting too much. I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I don't know. So I thought, okay, I better go see it again. So I went to see it again, and I felt exactly the same way. So
Okay,
I'm pretty secure with my opinion of the movie so far. Okay. So here's starting the misses.
oh god, here we go.
Problem was, and this follows what I was saying about the original. The original, the characters were really likable. Like, you really were rooting for Barbara and Adam. They were good people, and you wanted to see them win. And when they were dying again for the second time, you felt bad. And and Lydia, you didn't want her to get married. Like, you liked the people. And even like Charles. Like, Charles was just trying to be happy. He just wanted to relax, and you really wanted, so in this movie I didn't find any of them likable. I didn't find any of the characters likable. They were all angry. They were all like just upset. I just didn't like, there was nobody I was rooting for. Because in the first movie, you're rooting for people. This movie, there was nobody that I was like, yes, I'm glad that they did this. I didn't connect with any of them, because they just, I don't know. They just, so my biggest issue was with Lydia Dietz, with Winona Ryder.
Okay.
I thought after the first movie and all that she went through and how she overcame this, that she'd be a strong, independent woman, and she'd be, she was the weakest female character I think I've seen in a movie in decades. Like, she was so wishy-washy. She was engaged to this man who was producing. She's now a clairvoyant and has a TV show, like a Ghost Hunters TV show, and she's engaged to the producer of this TV show, who's the smarmiest guy that is out there. He was just an awful person, and
Played by Justin Theroux.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was just smitten by him or whatever. Which just was so, like, succumbed to everything he did and everything he said, and she was so wishy-washy, and like, she didn't have any backbone at all in this. And I wanted to see her be strong and independent, because she should have been. I mean, she overcame so much in that first movie, and I mean, you'd think that she would be like, yeah, I could do anything, I can, but and then she was a ghost hunter. Like, she was going into homes and confronting demons and spirits and things. And then, but in real life, she was just like, yeah, I guess I'll get married, I guess. I mean, and so I was just like, oh, come on, you need to be stronger. So there was that. And then,
let me just counterpoint that. I
yes.
liked her character in it. I thought it made sense. I thought it was, I like the fact that she, like, yes, I know how the other movie ended, but then the 2 ghosts that she was close to, like the couple, were gone now. So I think they were like her anchor. like to like some sort of sense of like of being.
Yeah.
And then she's being fully manipulated by Justin Theroux in it as well.
Yeah.
So, and then she's also got the problem with her daughter she's trying to deal with. So I don't think she really knew where she was at this point, and all she knew was talking to ghosts, and that's all she knew. And she kind of forgot about everything else and family and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think she
Yeah.
was in a real state of, I'm not sure what's going on, and I don't really know what's happening. I don't know. I liked her character. I thought it made sense, and it also helped with the arc of the movie, so that by the end it kind of comes back together for her.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I suppose. I just was hoping for her to
You
be a
guess so, or do you know?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know. I was really hoping for her to be a stronger presence.
And I think she was.
able-
I think she was being manipulated so badly, and
Yeah.
she had such low self-esteem that she really didn't. She couldn't be assertive, and I think that was the problem. So
I guess
plus
not.
you're dealing with Catherine O'Hara's character, who's like uber assertive, right? Like
Yes.
so.
Yeah, and she is. But they did say at one point that the two of them became friends.
Yeah.
Like they actually mended their ways, and so they had a relationship at some point between the two movies. So that was something. But anyway, so that was one thing. The other issue I had with this, like we were saying in the first movie was a very simple storyline. The two people moved into this house, they died. Another family moved into the house, they were horrible people, ghosts wanted them out. That was the whole storyline. That was really it. This one had so many different storylines that that were unnecessary. So there was the storyline of Winona Ryder, of the father of Charles dying, which is what brought them back to the house. That was the main sort of story, I guess.
We'll call that the alpha storyline.
We'll call it the alpha storyline. So there was that one. And then there was the Jenna Ortega storyline, where she meets a boy who ends up being a ghost, who wants her to trade places with her in the afterlife so that he can come back and be a real boy again while she stays down in the afterlife. So that's an entirely separate story. And then there's a third story of Beetlejuice and his ex-wife, who comes back to life after he chopped her up like 400 years ago, because she tried to suck his soul, and she tried to kill him, and so he killed her. Anyway, she pulls herself back together and is searching for him to seek revenge and get his soul back. So there were three completely different storylines. And the biggest problem I had with it is that the Beetlejuice ex-wife storyline didn't go anywhere. Like there was literally no purpose for it, because she didn't do anything. Like there was the whole movie was her searching for him. And then there was technically another story where Willem Dafoe is an actor who died, but he played a cop. So now the cop and his other cops are searching for the ex-wife, because this ex-wife has come back. She's like sucking the souls out of dead people, so they have to go and find her and, I don't know what, arrest her. I'm not sure. So there was another storyline of Willem Dafoe. So there was that. But because Willem Dafoe his only purpose was to find this ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, and the ex-wife's only purpose was to find Beetlejuice and do something, that should have had a big payoff. But it had no payoff at all. It ended when they had this wedding scene at the end. The wife finally walks into the church and finds Beetlejuice, and I found you. And Jenna Ortega summons a sandworm, and the sandworm just eats her. The end. I'm like, what? I thought there was going to be some big confrontation or big something. Like, literally, you could have taken that entire storyline out of the movie with Willem Dafoe, and it wouldn't have affected the story at all. Like, it wouldn't have changed anything, because there was no impact. Like, she sucked the life out of a couple of dead people, and that's all she did. Like, she looked cool. Like, she was a cool character. That's why I wanted to see more from her, but she didn't do anything. Like, why even put that in there? I don't know.
I have a counterpoint for that one.
Okay,
because without her in it, they couldn't have done shots of her walking through hallways.
Oh, I guess we wouldn't have seen nearly as many hallways, I guess.
That wouldn't have happened. And like the sandworm still would have been kind of hungry.
I guess.
without her. So
Yeah, I guess they had to feed the sandworm.
yeah. So
Yeah,
no,
I guess
I
there was-
totally agree. This is one part I agree with. This is what I would have done.
Okay.
If I would direct. Okay.
Yeah.
I love the storyline of the boy that she meets, and he ends up being like, he seems really super cool.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize like my wife Jen realized right away that he was probably a ghost. I had no clue.
No, I
But
didn't
but he's like he's evil, like he killed his family and everything. That's your villain right there.
Yes.
Taking her and trying to, and then him trying to come back to life. That's the villain. Like,
Yes.
you didn't need the woman walking around. I think that part was like, again, like you're saying, no payoff to it. She kind of shows up at the end. There's a lot of like, she didn't even really search for him that hard, really, to me. Like she was just kind of walked around the building in the afterlife a little bit, and that was about it.
Yeah, like nobody, because she would stop other ghosts and be like, "Where is Beetlejuice?" And nobody would tell her because nobody knew, and then she would just suck the soul out of them and
Yeah.
they'd one shot and die. Like that, like it. Nobody even helped her. But you're
Yeah.
right. There were two distinct villains in this movie. One, like,
yeah.
that didn't make any sense. Like you're right. They should have focused on the boy, the Donna Ortega's boyfriend. Yes.
I'll defend Willem Dafoe in it. I think it was kind of a neat side character.
Yeah.
But he could have been going after the kid
Yes.
as opposed and as opposed to that, like, you know
Yes.
what I mean? And maybe
I-
shown up because someone did something that was against ghost rules at the beginning or something, and then they established that he was a cop, and then
Yes.
later on go after this kid. So
I totally agree. Like that, I loved Willem Dafoe in this movie. Like I actually really liked this character. I thought he was funny, and it was cool that he was an actor, not a real cop. So he was acting like
Yeah.
a cop and fully like believed. Like I thought he was great, but he didn't have anything to do. Like he was
Yeah.
just walking around searching and for no reason. Like, and he didn't even get to arrest the ex-wife at the end because he had been frozen into a statue before she even got in the room.
yeah,
So-
no, it was that her character was like, no, again, cool looking. I think she was great. But
Yeah.
I just thought that it was just a kind of a useless storyline. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
It didn't.
In that.
Yeah, it didn't. That didn't work for me. So the other issue that I had, I thought that the writing was kind of weak. The writing in the first movie I thought was really good, and the lines were funny. This one I thought was the dialogue was kind of weak. Especially there was one scene, especially, and this bugs me in other movies when it happens, when a character explains to another character what's happening so that the audience gets caught up. And
Like
this is
exposition, like just like a
yeah, but
Yeah.
so this happened between Lydia Dietz and Delia, between Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara. They were sitting on the front porch. Lydia Dietz was talking, had been proposed to by her fiance, and she didn't know what to do, and blah blah blah. And Catherine O'Hara was like, I'm not sure, I don't support this, and then Lydia Dietz had to explain that they met each other, to explain to her mother that they met each other in this support group, and they connected, and then they were dating, and then they did all of this stuff, and but I was like, she would have known that. Like,
Yeah.
her mother would have known where this guy was. He was her producer. They were friends. They became friends and close before anything happened. So she would have known that. So the only reason that conversation happened was to tell the audience, but it didn't matter. Like it felt really awkward. Like it wouldn't have something that a daughter would have told her mother the day before her wedding. So it just felt like you didn't need to spoon feed us that.
That could have been probably said by Justin Theroux to Lydia, just in some
Yes.
sort of conversation where he's trying to prove to her why they should be together and
Yes.
how their history together or whatever. But
that would have made a lot more sense. Yeah, absolutely. Than having Lydia say it to her mom. Sorry, I just a side
how's
note.
your ghost light going
Yeah,
there?
I've got some really, really bad lighting this year. And one of the lights just burnt out.
You think by season 7 you'd have some decent lighting?
I'm not even on that. I don't know. Anyway, so just ignore the lighting. That's a miss.
You're just a
for this
mess over
episode.
there.
It's terrible.
Yeah, that's a miss of the podcast.
Yeah, that's the
Larry's
biggest
lighting
part.
was terrible in that
It was-
episode.
It's awful. So going back, so that was a big. It wasn't the writing was not peak Tim Burton. Tim Burton's writing is usually so spot on, and his characters are so well defined. And these ones, I just don't know what happened there with that. So and then I mean, I've got other little nitpicky ones I won't go into, but then the other thing that I didn't quite get was why they had to kill Delia Dietz, Catherine O'Hara, why she had to die. Like she was doing this ceremony to honor her husband in the graveyard, and she had two snakes that she claims were defanged. I don't know why, but they weren't, and she took them out of their basket, and they both bit her in the neck, and she died, and then she's in the afterlife. But nobody seemed at all shocked or surprised or really cared. But there was no reason for her to be in the afterlife like that. She didn't do anything to affect the story being in the afterlife, I don't think.
I will counterpoint this on
Okay.
the reason I think she died was so that she could be with her husband. Like I think that's the basic
Yeah,
like
maybe, yeah.
and I think that's why. And then she was also like she was there, but she's coming from the underground sort of part as well. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a funny twist on it. And then so her and Jeffrey, was it Jeff? What's his actual name? Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones, yeah.
Yeah, like his character actually were able to meet at the end and be together. So
Okay, I buy that. Yeah, I buy
so
that.
I think that's the reasoning, like that. So they were finally together and everybody was happy. So
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that makes sense. But it just, I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. Like it didn't. I wasn't cheering for them. I wasn't like, oh yay, they're finally back together. Like it. I didn't have that feeling. Probably because I didn't really like. I didn't like these characters as much, so I didn't. That wasn't all that exciting for me.
I would have liked if the mother had died and the dad had died, but somehow they were still left in the house as ghosts.
That would have been cool.
Like,
Yes.
and then so they were still kind of living with them at the end, but they were like
Yeah.
actually like ghosts, like
Well,
just there.
yeah, because like you said, I mean, the house, like you said in the first movie, like his set pieces, Tim Burton set pieces are characters unto themselves. So the house in the first movie is a character. That's the whole reason for the movie was the house.
Yeah.
So it would have made sense to have them live. You're right, have them live in the house at the end or something, because the house is a character in the Beetlejuice universe. That's the
Yeah.
whole reason the whole thing happened. So that would have been cool, is to give the house some sort of love at the end, but that didn't happen. And then speaking of the end, I don't quite understand what happened at the end. Like,
Like in the wedding scene, or
no, like literally the end of the movie. So
okay.
wedding happened, everything was fine, and then the next thing we know, Lydia and Lydia and her daughter, I can't remember Jenna Ortega's character's name.
Oh, it was Astrid.
Astrid, right. Lydia and Astrid are taking the trips that Astrid has wanted to take. So they went to Transylvania. They went to Dracula's castle. Astrid looks over and sees the young guy who's the doorman guy, falls in love with him. Cut to, they got married. Cut to, she's pregnant. She gives birth to a baby Beetlejuice, and it's terrifying. Cut to Lydia Dietz waking up in bed, and then Beetlejuice waking up beside her and saying, "Oh, I just had the weirdest dream." Cut to Lydia Dietz waking up in bed again with nobody beside her. Cut to black. So was the whole movie a dream of hers?
No, I think I feel like that was maybe the last part maybe could have, like, some of the stuff that was like, some of it was real and some of it wasn't, but the birth, I think, was just part of it. It was a dream to show that Beetlejuice isn't gone from her mind. He's still like haunting her as he did before he came back. And so I think that's what that was supposed to be. Just
I think that whole Transylvania sequence was a dream. Like her waking up from that was a dream. Oh, and my second light just went out.
Yes, perfect. All right, well,
Got no lights. Okay, good.
anyway, I
Anyway,
can still see you, so you're
okay,
good.
perfect. Anyway, so so that part was a dream. That whole Transylvania sequence, that was a dream. But why did she wake up the second time? Like, I
I think it's just like one of those things where it's a dream within a dream. Like it's
I guess, but I mean, the whole concept of waking up and thinking things are a dream. That's so cliche. Like it's become like, so all of this was a dream. That was kind of it seemed like a really weak ending. Like she should have, I don't know how it could have ended, but I wanted
it was just a
more.
fun little ending, I think. I don't know. I don't think I think you're looking way too deep into this ending.
Well, it didn't, but to me, it wasn't an ending.
Like, seriously, stop looking so deep into this ending.
I want some clarity here. I need clarity. There was
I
no
think it was
ending.
just a fun like device to like show that he's still hanging out with her, like even though she like and she's accepted sort of it, but like
so is he now like Freddy Krueger?
He's always been kind of like stuck, like sort of like stuck to her, right? Like he's always since.
But now he only comes to her in her dreams.
I guess I don't know. I don't know everything about. I don't know everything about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is Beetlejuice. Like the only person that can answer you is Bob. He's the only person that maybe knows.
Well, no, Bob can't even answer me now because Bob had his soul sucked out. So now
that's right.
He's just like a squished Bob.
How did they kill Bob? I can't believe they killed Bob in it. But...
Oh, of all the Bob was the only character that I actually connected with.
Because of your small pea head? What
yes. I can totally relate to that.
It's so weird.
I don't know.
I liked Bob and all the shrunken head people. Like
I liked Bob, and I liked when all of the Bobs, they all had different names, but we'll call them all Bobs, got out of the underworld. They saw an opening.
Oh yeah, and they're like
opening, they ran out.
Weird.
Yes. That was actually funny. The Bobs were. I want to see a spin-off movie of the Bobs. Like I want to see Beetle Bob. Maybe we'll call it. I don't know, but I did like the Bobs. They were very fun. So anyway, so yeah, I won't go into all the little tiny nitpicks because there are more. But just overall, it just, to me, it did not, because the original Beetlejuice was so perfect and such an awesome movie. I just was expecting this to follow suit, especially since he's had 36 years to come up with a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, had a long time. And I mean, I say that because when the Ghostbusters reboot happened, that was a really solid reboot. Like that was an emotional reboot. It was really, really well done. So it's possible to take a franchise that's, 40 years old and reboot it now and do a really good job with it. So
yeah,
I guess because we had that movie come out, I was expecting more from this one. And I just love Tim Burton. I think he's awesome. And I was really kind of surprised with what he did with this movie. So
I know I liked it better than you did. I actually quite enjoyed it. Like I thought, I mean, there's obviously like there's that one character that could have been taken out of the movie. But other than that, I thought everything else sort of worked. Justin Theroux might have been a little too obnoxious, but he was. But I mean, again, it's just another character to throw a wrench into the plans of everything that was going on and add more chaos to Lydia Dietz's life, basically. So to make her kind of the way she was, and forgetting about her true focus, which should have been her daughter, but he was always there, kind of like twisting her into certain ways and doing what he had to do. So I thought it was funny. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I walked out going, yeah, it was good. I don't know. I thought there's nobody in the world that would hate this movie at all and see it twice. And I thought, okay, it's good. And then I met you.
As it turned out, I walked out of it twice being disappointed. So
Larry no lights over there. What's that?
Even my lights walked out on me.
Even they didn't agree. They're like, we're out.
We're out. The lights. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So I will stick with the original, and I will watch that one forever and ever because it's still like a near perfect movie.
I feel like you give yourself about 5 years and watch this one again, and I think you'll like it a little more than you think. It's hard. It's hard when you go into a movie that you really want to enjoy, like let's say like a Star Wars or something, like after they hadn't done one in a long time, like the remember the when they did the new ones again, like we went. Yeah. And we went to it and we we loved it the first time, and then we gradually didn't like it quite as much, but now you love it again. So you know, you never know. You never know.
You never know. Like I will watch it again. Like when it, hits the streaming service, which I'm sure will be in like the next 5 days because it happens soon. I will totally watch it again. Like I'm not giving up on it because I love Tim Burton and I love the franchise. I just wanted more.
I know you
all
did.
I'm asking. Is that
But just
too much?
take some of my points and you add it to the movie and you see if you enjoy it better. Okay.
Okay, I'll try that.
Stop being so hard on Lydia Dietz. All right. You're actually borderline mean to her. And I'm
really?
not happy about it. Yeah.
Well, now I feel terrible about all
Well,
of
yeah,
it.
well, you should. You should.
Oh.
Anyways, that's it for the show. Thanks everybody for joining us for our first show of season 7. And again, I don't know if you don't like Beetlejuice as much as Larry, then go at him. Just send
Bring it on! I've got more more misses. I can talk more and more.
We don't need to. We don't need to. So we'll thanks for joining us for Loop and Larry Gardens of Geek. Of course, you can go into our socials, get mad at Larry all you want.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Loop and Larry Guardians of Geek.
Bye-bye.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller,
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller,
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.